Good day, good day, good day. And I would like to welcome all of you to a episode of All for Success. Okay, so as we come on in this morning, everybody, to join in for a very short chat of many things that are supporting the Sussex family and some of the things that we have observed over the past week or two. And we will get a chance to talk and analyze what we're seeing. So, just like the scene that's up right now, everybody get your coffee ready. Take a moment to relax a little bit. I like to look at things all for success from the point of view of parents, of adult children, and the many ways that we need to support our adult children. And sometimes stand back and watch some of the challenges that they simply have to live through and overcome. Um, I just love the fact that Harry and Meghan are really trying to move forward in their lives and be a great example in life to how you can try to support each other and endure many of the difficulties that you may have in life. Okay, so with that being said, everybody get your coffee ready, settle in a little bit. um, I'm going to ask everyone, please like and subscribe, especially if you enjoy listening in and participating. Like and subscribe to the channel. I would love the help to help me grow. Um, this is an interesting venture, working with video and things on YouTube. It's been quite a fascinating learning curve. I didn't realize that there would be so much detail to understand simply putting up lives or recordings. And I think there are easier ways, and then there are some things that are more difficult, depending on how much entertainment you want to have going on in your channel. All right. So I also like to encourage each of you out there to get your workouts in every week. Try to record whatever steps you're making. I like to do that. Generally, I walk about a mile, a little bit more than a mile a day. And I try to record how many steps I took that day just to keep up with my movement. Again, being an being a parent of adult children, that gives you some insight on what the age bracket is. And so when we get to this age bracket, we must try to keep moving. We must try to eat properly. Definitely, we need to get as much sleep as we can. And the one thing that I do not like to do is maintain all of your medical, uh, I guess, appointments that you're supposed to go to and things that keep track of how you're doing. And I have to admit, when it comes to medical, it's not my favorite, but I'm finding that periodically I do need to check in and have someone let me know how things are going. So get your coffee and let's have a moment and see how things are going in the life of the Sussex family. So, over the past week or so, um, over the past week or so, we definitely were inundated by a flurry of, I would say, enhanced attacks on the family, Sussex. Um, for some unknown reason, or maybe reasons we don't see, it seemed that there was an amplification of what Harry and Meghan may be successful in or not successful in. So, one or two of the main things that came up, and I know that many other video YouTubers have discussed it, is the business deal that they had with the Spotify personnel that were producing the Archetypes venture. Um, Archetypes was a pretty interesting podcast hosted by Meghan Markle. I felt that it was fairly well produced. I also felt that the topics were timely and interesting, quite illuminating to young women and or young women to maybe say middle-aged women. It was quite illuminating. It was a discussion often of things that women are dealing with in their lives, how they feel about their day to day, the types of challenges that they may have, um, and things that they're facing. So, with that viewpoint, from my perspective, I thought it was very well done, very timely, and important topics. As a young woman, when I was a young mom, a younger mom, I often felt that I felt the emotions that I experienced. I often felt that I was the only one going through these things. When you have small children, you feel isolated. Often you feel that nothing you're doing is correct. Um, you are going to be uh, definitely overcome with feelings of outside judgment. And then we're going to add on top of that the also appearance issues. Like you don't feel that you look your best. Often you don't feel your best. And so all of those things are things that young moms, young women definitely are constantly battling. And then on top of all that, you have the outside world's purview of how you should be. That is one of the key challenges for everyone is this perception of how everyone is supposed to be. That's a difficult hill to climb. It's a difficult challenge. And the podcast that Megan was producing had a lot of discussions in that arena. Now, of course, it was from the perspective of these very um, high profile individuals and the type of lives they also lead. I think one of the great things that was talked about, like between Mariah Carey and Serena Williams and all of these women, is that often they are challenged by the day to day things in life that everyone else is challenged by. Now, here is a theme that was definitely pushed out in her Archetypes podcast that simply because of their celebrity, simply because of their position or their status as a profile in the public arena, I think it was very well explored that often everyone in the world feels that they can comment on your challenges. And I'm sure that it's felt small in a smaller way. It's felt by every individual, all of us living day to day lives. But in the celebrity world, it's probably more magnified. And you'll hear comments like this. Oddly, for whatever reason, these comments are perpetuated even in our media. Things like, "Well, they're rich." Okay, so They shouldn't express any type of pain or suffering because they're rich. And that is a very interesting take on the human condition, as if you become less affected as a human being because you're rich, or because someone is their photograph is on the cover of a lot of magazines. Well, they should just put up with whatever is going on in the world. Oh, well, they should just deal with it. And you'll hear these type of pronouncements from these media personalities. And of course, here on this, here in my space, I often analyze things that I hear and see in the media space. And I would like to point it out to other people so that you take a moment, if you hear it, to pause and actually understand what is being said. So, archetypes definitely explored these types of perceptions. And I thought they did a very good job at talking them through and letting the individuals being interviewed discuss how they saw things, what their perceptions were, and what they thought about it. Um, we all hear this to some degree, because that is a part of life, that other people feel the need to share with you how they think and feel about everything you do or say. So we have become creatures who have entered this space that apparently none of us will keep our thoughts to ourselves. We feel that we must share our every moment stream of conscious thinking, and that we must just immediately blurt it out into the world. And so that is what a lot of these wealthy celebrity type personnel are victim of, if you want to call it a victim, because of course now the word victim has been given another twisted meaning, which is something you should never be, right? No matter how attacked you are, you can't be a victim. That's a dirty word now. So, um, because that was discussed, the Spotify deal and how well the Spotify deal was going, that became the immediate fodder topic of the Sussex family. Every every line mentioned about their work with Spotify, every inch of contract details that could be gleaned from the fact that they decided to terminate that contract, it became the UK media push to definitely say or imply or interread or make up the fact that it's because the Sussex family, because they are failures. And so, for whatever reason, they hyped up on this for an entire week, trying to pull people from every corner of the galaxy to say something negative about the Sussex family in relationship to ending the Spotify deal. So that also translated into, oh, they're losing their deal with Spotify. Not, it couldn't, for from the UK media point of view, it could not possibly have been these two businesses realize they're not doing well as a team, and that perhaps one or the other is going to seek another business deal with perhaps another entity. No, no, they couldn't do that. The UK, of course, had to come from the perspective, the UK media had to come from the perspective that Meghan lost this deal and now her life is over. I do not understand. It's comical, and it is one of those things that, although that is what they flood the zone with, they flood the zone with Spotify. She's losing that deal, which then they immediately jumped over to, well, that means she can't get any other deal. And next, Netflix is going to cancel them as well. And they just continue to go down this rabbit hole of this is going to be a failure, that's going to be a failure, the next thing is going to be a failure. And the thoughts are, what are you talking about? They didn't even give them an opportunity to to find out what is actually happening. And with these deals, this can take years. It could take years for them to figure out what might be going on and how many other deals there can be. But the UK media must immediately overlay you. They must immediately inundate you with the potentiality that they may fail, that they are going to just fail. You know, that the fact that they are not a part of the royal family, it means their lives will be complete failures. So let's look at let's go over this real quick, which is actually funny that I'm on this topic. Megan was a working person from the time she graduated from school and college and started doing volunteering work until the time that she started working in different television productions. In other words, she has filled out job applications, she has gone on interviews, she has had a working life. But the UK media, and especially the perspective of the royal rota or the royal media, they do not understand that this is a working woman. So the stories that keep flooding the media are things like, oh, she's a grabber and an opportunist, and she's climbing up the hill, and she sat down and strategically studied how she was going to join the royal family. It's amazing that there are a number of people that have any moment to believe what they're saying. This woman had a whole job. She had a whole career. She has been working for more than 20 years before she met Harry. But they don't understand that. They can't grasp the understanding. And I think this is the thing about them that is really blowing their minds. They cannot grasp the understanding that working people understand struggle. Working people understand not having, that working people do not fold up like a lawn chair because things don't go right. She's been in Hollywood. Can you imagine how many times she had been told no in Hollywood? They Hollywood is horrible. So if there's any place where she had definitely been groomed for ups and downs, success and failure, she came straight from it, Hollywood. But I don't believe those who are working in that environment around the royal family understand that. So that's the type of thing I think that they don't get it. Now, Harry, which is interesting enough, Harry, because of how he was maneuvered in that family to do things and to work and to appear when they told him to appear, and to be here and to be there, but knowing all the while that, we really don't have a place for you, right? And then we're going to talk about you and treat you indifferently, because of course, hey, that's just family. Um, that means he adapted to a similar type of mentality, a similar working mentality. Well, let me go out here and join the military and figure out how to do that. Well, that's a job. And let me go out here and see if I can help somebody do this because, well, that's a job. They it's a mentality that those behind the curtain, they are completely removed from. But I believe they're about to get it. I believe it's starting to become visible to them. And the reason being, because as much as they try to put all the negative out there for Harry and Meghan, it doesn't mean that people like them. And I believe that for them, this was an eye-opening a jolting experience that they began to realize, oh my God, just because we're telling everyone to hate them, they also hate us. And I believe they are becoming to, oddly, their eyes are beginning to open to this fact. Okay. But that's all behind the curtain. And I hope you you enjoy my kind of wrap up of that type of talking points. So that's why for me, support of Harry and Meghan makes sense as a parent of adult children. They are adult children that are trying to navigate the world and move on through it, because as they enter middle age and they have children of their own, they're going to see the same, they were going to begin to see and experience life in a very different way. But they, of course, have different challenges than I would have, much greater, much more detail. So we're going to also talk about, as time goes on, I have been reading the book Spare. So what I'm going to do is probably do separate podcasts where I actually kind of delve down through each chapter. Now, I know a lot of people have already read the book. A lot of people have already heard the audibles. My approach, of course, is going to be what I perceive to be the roadmap in the book for the people that he is going to come after. Now, that's just a theory of mine, because I like to read these stories and read these books in a very sci-fi type of way. And I just have this undercurrent feeling as I started to read through different things in the chapter that he was actually laying out a roadmap and basically a warning sign to specific individuals that I'm coming after you, and I'm not going to stop. I like to always point out that the Harry that the royal family is remembering is the kid that's sad and struggling. But the Harry that they're dealing with today, and I've repeated this before in my podcast, the Harry they're dealing with today is a former soldier on the deserts and in the regions of Afghanistan that most of us would not go. And he's also the son of a mother that he feels was attacked and, by all thoughts, murdered. So, unbeknownst to that crowd over there in the UK and in the media, they don't realize that what he sees them as is an absolute enemy to be destroyed. And fortunately for them, the year is 2023 and not 1023, because he would have probably rode in on the back of a horse and cut off people's heads. But we'll get to that. So that is my overall uh, want and love of things going well for Harry and his family. So as I am trying to gather my slides here, let's see if I can get them going. Okay, so we also wanted to point out, and I definitely wanted to mention, along with the ramble and rant about all of the possible failures that Harry and Meghan are going to have while they're trying to make Netflix, Spotify, or radio deals or whatever, and how their lives are going to be miserable. This is a photo of a person that people still seem to forget is in the picture. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Perry. Let's understand that Tyler Perry is what? A media mogul. Okay? If the Sussex family can't find a job anywhere doing anything, they can walk over to the studio in Atlanta and film a commercial and generate more than $1 million. So I think I think that people who are on the attack of this family are simply not paying attention. They believe that they are living, I don't know. I really think they believe that they, in fact, are bigger than they are. Now, Yes, financially, the royal family has their fingers in everything worldwide because the firm, as it is, has its fingers financially in everything. That is why they have such influence. That is why when you're listening to different moderators on these television shows, because the media empire is so twisted and tangled around Rupert Murdoch, you will find everyone holding back their words, repeating things a little differently, saying it with a little less um, flourish, and above all, always implying that Harry and Meghan are doing something nefarious, that they can't be trusted. Well, that's just a product of the movement and the skill of Rupert Murdoch. His, the media empire is entrenched and wound up also with the royal family. Now, for those of you who have been paying attention to the court case, that is what is being discussed in the final sets of documents. They're trying to sort out, were there secret agreements between these entities? They're trying to see if they can find or draw any type of connection between what is pushed out in the media and what was agreed to, perhaps, by the royal family. So this is coming up. Of course, these are accusations that Harry has made, but what he didn't lay out to the public, what has not been laid out to the public, is whether or not there are documents, whether or not someone has some information, or even if someone is going to actually testify that that is the case. At the moment, it's more of a he said, she said situation, and because of the way the UK um, legal system works, it feels as if Harry is actually on trial because he is saying this is happening to me, and so they basically put him on trial. It really is a twisted system that they are working with. But again, the person that they seem to forget is in the picture is Tyler Perry. Now, it would appear to me that if he's in the picture, um, we don't know from one day to the next how important or non important, or how employed or non employed the Sussex family will be. But I'm going to cross my fingers, okay, or I'm going to lean in on them being successful over time. Um, People have to remember this has just been a short period of time. These folks have 20, 30 years left in their public careers. And I think a lot of people forget about that. So the next person I want to bring up, the opposite of a Tyler Perry, the opposite of a Tyler Perry would be an individual that also popped up on the scene during this time of struggle. And this man's name is Sir, I think he's now a Sir, Trevor Phillips. Sir Trevor Phillips is a UK personality. He's a doctor, and it would appear that he originally was appointed by Tony Blair to be a person on a commission for human rights and racial equality. Now, Tony Blair was the prime minister some time back, and this gentleman was supposed to be a great and fantastic figure in that arena to talk about these things. And he was also supposed to talk a lot about or serve as a chair on the London Assembly, which had to do a lot with the Windrush situation, which involved many of the islanders coming over to the United Kingdom to do work. They needed people, they needed bodies. So they, of course, as always, try to import people for free to work for free because, well, British. And so these people spent their lives in the UK doing their work, trying to support the United Kingdom. And then, of course, as a thank you, um, later because UK being the UK felt that it was getting a little bit too brown and then all of a sudden wanted to deport all these people. So he was supposed to be a key proponent in trying to make sure that this particular event happened fairly. But he was on Sky News not long ago, I think maybe um, one Sunday, and he had, and I'm going to use, I have to use this word, the audacity to make a comment like Harry and Meghan should, now I love this word, should have been the people to create the racial healing zone that the UK needed, as if Harry and Meghan were the ones that should have created that and fostered this wonderful racially equal environment. When this man said that on Sky News, I could not stop laughing internally because the only thing I could hear from the back of my head was this statement was amazingly out of touch. See, here's why I'm saying that. He is the one that sits on the board of all of these, all things equality. And because he received a knighthood and a handshake, now he also jumps on the Harry and Meghan train. They need a minus sign. Like when you think of them, you need to, there always needs to be something subtracted. And he actually made that comment. I hope that any of you who have an opportunity to dig around on YouTube to find the discussion between him and the individual on Sky News, and how the response was, that is absolutely ridiculous. But yet he said that. Now, of course, we all be concerned that not too long before this, he was handed some sort of medal, I believe, from Prince William, or given some sort of accolade from the royal family for being himself. And then, of course, he steps out, and then the thing that's said about Harry and Meghan from him is going to have a minus sign in front of it. It's just amazing to me. It is overwhelming to me for these faces, these black faces, to be marched out one by one to have something to say about Harry and Meghan with a minus sign in front of it, so that we all then are given this impression that, oh, it's not anything, you know, anti-racial to be supported. We're just all supposed to think that, oh, well, if black people are saying it, then it must be true. Once again, a ridiculous assumption on their part, because what's happening is they're not actually seeing what people are saying or what people think about this situation, right? Most of us, again, I'm looking at it from the eyes of a mother. So most people are looking at this situation and they don't realize that we just see a terrible family, right? We see a family that they're just terrible people. And honestly, we just don't understand the level of cruelty. You know, we could understand you being mad about different things or having a tiff, as families always do, but just the fact that you're simply completely cruel. We find that fascinating. But Trevor Phillips is his name, and I would love for all of you to have an opportunity to listen to what this man thought was a good thing to say. Now, needless to say, I don't think he's going to show up on many other television shows about the family. I really don't. He may, but I don't think we're going to see him too often. Okay, so we will see how this works. Now, in contrast to the way he feels things should be handled in the royal family, in absolute contrast, we have another Trevor. Okay. Um, all of those who are fans of Trevor Noah, and I was, as far as a Daily Show, he was fantastic, very educated young man, very learned, and I love the way that he had a thirst for knowledge that was remarkable. This was a young man who spent a lot of time finding out details about how other people live. He had a very analytical and investigative method of analyzing what he sees in our country or in the UK. And of course, being from South Africa, it gave him an extremely unique perspective. But he was interviewed, of course, also on archetypes. And brilliant, brilliant interview, brilliant discussion. They spoke, I think, via webcam perhaps, and had a very wonderful talk about all of the things that you have to do to overcome challenges and how you perceive where you're going to go in your future. So Trevor Noah was a net positive in his reaction to the Duchess of Success, Meghan, and he spoke very highly of her. So once again, you get these contrasts of the UK media letting everyone in the world know that, oh, they're awful people, they're awful people, they're awful people. And then you have someone like Trevor Noah who appears and lets us know that no, he's no, they're not quite that awful, and that he enjoyed his time speaking to her and going over some of the things in their discussion. So we want to keep an eye on all of these types of people and their positive outcomes to what they were saying. And I must say, I really enjoyed listening to that portion of archetypes. So that what I'm getting at is that a forum, whether it's like archetypes as a podcast, whether it's something similar to a broadcast of any type, or even something to the line of a talk show, I think any of those type of ventures for Megan would be a positive venture, even if she produces other people in that realm. It would be a positive venture because I think they have a vision, and that if they continue to pursue it, that vision will go forward. Now, one of the other people that also, interestingly, we saw a interestingly, I saw a newspaper notification, whether it was a short story, and I'm going to go back and look to see who actually wrote this piece, where they talked about Malcolm Jamal Warner, um, and the fact that Malcolm Jamal Warner never really liked Megan, or he thought she was rude and hard to work with. And what was interesting about that, that was pointed out, as if he had a beef with Meghan Markle, as if he didn't like working with her and all of these type of things. And then later I saw him in an interview, and in the interview it was mentioned that he did not work directly with her. Now, I'm going to try to play a little bit of this audio. I don't know if I can do the actual video, but I'm going to try to play the audio. And while I'm bringing that up, please like and subscribe. I hope you all enjoy some of the chit chat here. But please don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, share and refer all your friends to come back. Hopefully, each Saturday, I'll have something more interesting to talk about. And before we go, make sure we're going to talk about how well you're doing on your fitness journey. But I'm going to try to play this clip. All right. Now, this is an interview of Malcolm Jamal Warner. And let's see if you can hear what he actually says. Let me see. Let me see if I can get this up to.
best friend of Chris, stage manager, future stage manager. Deal or no deal. Megan used to be on Deal or No Deal. He's had more interaction with her than I. But she was always cool. Let me ask you something. Did you know she was black? Yeah. I mean, like, I'm like, yo, I got black dar, so we see it. Yeah. But it's, like, I can see where a lot of people be like, I didn't know. The great thing is that she. So you were in suits for.
Okay. I don't know if you all can hear that. I hope that you could. If not, I'm going to have to try to do a better job of audio here. But Malcolm Jamal Warner basically said that he didn't really have scenes with Meghan Markle. So that one would immediately shatter the discussion that she was rude and hard to work with, because he's basically stating we didn't really work together like that on on Suits. He actually had an appearance in Suits. And then the other thing he said was she was always very nice. She was always very pleasant. And then the last thing that he mentioned, because of course, the interviewer Touré asked him, "Did you know she was black?" In the racial world, because again, periodically other black people are trotted out to say things on YouTube like, "I don't know why she's trying to play the race card," and all that. Okay, because technically she really doesn't play the race card. There was never any need for her to. But he basically stated that not only did he know she was black, the key is she knew she was black. In other words, what he is saying is there was nothing about her behavior or her attitude to imply that she was hiding and trying to be white passing. Okay? So that is a very important thing to understand, right? Because a lot of people all around the corners here who are trying to create negative narratives, they would love to drive a wedge between any African Americans, especially. And I say African Americans because the UK media is in fear of African Americans supporting Meghan Markle. That terrifies them because they know that African Americans are very influential in the rest of the world's opinion, right? So they really fear that. They want to discount that. But anyway, Malcolm Jamal Warner made it very clear that there was nothing in her behavior that would have given the impression that I'm going to be white passing and I'm going to be rude. And the same thing, of course, not the racial aspects, but as far as working with her and being polite, the same thing was mentioned by Mr. Andy Cohen, who works with the housewives. Even though while he was being interviewed, it was very obvious that the interviewer was trying to get him to go in that direction, tried very, very hard to get him to say, "Oh, I don't like her, I don't want to work with her," or something like that. And he did not do that. He did the exact opposite. So I thought it was quite fascinating to see their approach in attempting to malign her name. So I'm hoping that all of you have enjoyed at least this short talk. I won't keep you any longer. I just want to, of course, remind you all to like and subscribe, share if you can. I want to build my channel. I need to keep getting my numbers up. Feel free to drop comments in the comment boxes. I'll try to get back to your post if you have something thoughtful to say. I'll even try to make a comment back, or I might use your comment as a way to lead into another topic. So please feel free to leave comments, and if you are working on any type of physical activity to improve, get out there, join in, jump in, get your steps in, and then we'll have to keep supporting each other in these efforts, and we want to keep trying to do that. So I hope each of you enjoyed some of my chatter and some of my thoughts, and I am going to hopefully get this book read a little bit more, and I'll maybe go over a couple of chapters at a time. I know everyone has a lot on their plates, and we really have to try and um, get our time in to do all these things like read and listen to podcasts. And I hope that you can listen to my podcast while you're doing something else. So, that being said, I want to thank all of you for coming and thank all of you for participating. We're going to try to grow this channel, and we're going to try to have even broader conversations as we analyze what's going on. And we're going to be standing by what's coming up are some of the decisions that have been made in this court case that Harry's got pending. All right, so thank you all again, and I'm going to be hopping off in just a few moments.